Hi, everyone. It's Shannon Port. Welcome to the Art of the Feminine podcast. Um, just going to get this set up so I can see you guys. Welcome to our live stream today. It's Wednesday, May. Oh my gosh, is it? Oh, it's May 22nd. And we are here. We're here to talk about the Mars transit of Cancer that's happening. It started on May. It started around the Scorpio full moon, and Mars is going to be transiting Cancer the entire. Oh, there you guys are. It's going to be. Um, oh, thank you. I appreciate you telling me that. It's going to be transiting the sign of Cancer for the entire month of June, at the very same time that we're having the June summer solstice energies come in, and so that's what we're going to talk about, the archetypal energies of these events, because they're really rich and really deep, with a lot of information about Kundalini and Kundalini activation. And so um, I'm working with Kundalini a lot right now. I'm working with solar consciousness, and I'm going to mention that in just a bit. It's good to see you guys. I'll wait for a couple more people to come on, and I'll just make a couple of quick announcements as some more people are coming on live with us. So I wanted to mention that I finished up mentoring, and so between now and June 7th, I have a little bit of extra time. And if you would like to do a single session with me, I'm available. I have a few of those available. Also, we're getting closer to June 7th. And so I just want to mention the light body yoga that I'm going to be teaching, and everything we're talking about today. I'm going to try to really merge in a lot of the information that will be going deeper into in that course. But I'm really excited for this course. If for those who are interested, it's a 7-week training that I'll be doing on video this year. And I've never done it on video before. I do it every year, and I always do it as a telecourse. This year it's on video. It's going to be a Zoom like webinar conference, interactive, and done on a conference platform. So anywhere in the world you can join us. I'll be doing it every Friday starting June 7th. But the playbacks are available 24/7. And so that is going to really, really focus on some of the things we're talking about today. It's the theme of it is the solar revolution, building the inner temple of light. And people always ask me about the information that I share in these videos. I share when I talk about, we talk about the new moons, the full moons. We look at the moon cycles and other astrological events. But I call this work, I call it divine archetype astrology, because what we're really working with here is the divine archetype of the fully awakened consciousness of the human being. And so the wisdom that I'm merging in is very, very much from the divine feminine, and the translations that I've done of the archetypal wisdom to bring it more into a feminine language, and then all of the juicy metaphysical teachings, the mystery teachings, some of the Gnostic lineage and the Kabbalistic lineage that we share here. All of that is really, we dive deeply into it in Light Body Yoga. But what Light Body Yoga is really about is, and that we will also be covering today, is it's about our vessel as the platform for the fully awakened solar consciousness of the divine human being. The sign of Cancer that we're going to go really deeply into today is the sign of the Chariot, and that really, really is one of the archetypes of this powerful um, ascension energy and awakening of conscious energy and solar energy. The Chariot is the Chariot of Fire. It's our chariot is our own vessel that holds the spirit, the Christ force, that Christic force that we all have dormant, some not so dormant, some more dormant than others within us. And when we experience, and we've been talking about this the past few weeks, when we experience that alchemical wedding within, the wedding of the soul and spirit, and then the greater eros gamos, with the greater cosmic merger and that cosmic marriage, we first experience it within in the lesser mysteries, and then we experience it on the greater platform. That is really what we are beginning to embody in our own consciousness right now. So let's jump into looking at these energies because they're going to be really, really closely related to that. In fact, that's what it's about. So, all right. Let me see. I made a little order of how we'll go, just so you know. We are, by the way, if you're new, we do live streams every week. And so today I'm going to let you know where we're going. We're going to look at the, first, we're going to look at the correspondences. We're going to look at the archetypes of the sign of Cancer, the archetype of Mars, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the North Node being in Cancer, because that's why I feel like, this is really powerful. The North Node is in Cancer. So Cancer is lit. It's really on right now. The sign of the mother. Cancer is the lunar, the archetypal ruler is the moon, and it represents the mother energies. And we're going to talk about the moon and how there's a lower lunar energy and a higher lunar energy. And we're going to talk about the Mars force, the desire force, the Kundalini Shakti force, and how we have a lower Kundalini Shakti within us, and then we have a celestial higher Kundalini. We're going to talk about how we are merging those right now, and how Mars in Cancer is the ultimate energy to stir the subconscious and to really shine the celestial fire on the waters of the mother, the great waters of matter, and begin to stir up the lower Kundalini, and bring it into conscious connection with the higher Kundalini, so that we can open our heart. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about how during this transit of Cancer, Mars will be opposing Pluto and Saturn, and that happens just before summer solstice, but it's also going to be on right at summer solstice. Summer solstice is the holy day of the year, really, in the mysteries, because summer solstice in the north, when the sun is enters the sign of Cancer in the northern hemisphere, and we have summer solstice, that is the planetary high point of our ascension energies. Every year it comes between the June 20th and June 22nd. Very special energies are released at that time, and then it leads into the Lionsgate portal. So I love this time of year between June and up in through August. It's really, really alchemical. There's a lot going on. So we're going to look at that opposition. That is calling forth, we're going to talk about fire. We're going to talk about celestial fire and archetypal fire. And then again, we'll finish on the Kundalini. This video isn't going to be as long, so I'm just going to look at, okay, time goes so fast. So, all right, we'll get started. I'm just going to see who's here. And if there's any questions, I'll look down a couple times. And it's always great to see. Oh, thank you. Good to see it. So I don't know, I've never had that happen on this before, but that's wonderful. So, okay, so let's talk about the sign of Cancer. First of all, the North Node is in Cancer, and I did a lengthy video on the North Node in Cancer. It's actually highlighted on my channel. If you go to Shannon Port channel, it's at the very top. It's called The Return of the Cosmic Mother. And so Cancer, the sign of Cancer, is in the zodiac, it's the mother energy, and opposite Cancer is Capricorn, the father energy, ruled by Saturn. The mother energy is ruled by the moon. And the three water signs, Cancer is the first water sign. There's Cancer, then Scorpio, then Pisces. Those three water signs are really layers of our subconscious mind. And I see Cancer as like kind of the crystalline waters of the mother deep and the pure intuitive energies of our subconscious mind. Scorpio gets a little bit more into that Pluto fire energy, the sexual energy and power. And then Pisces, the Pisces energy starts to touch into the underbelly, the deep, deep, dark cauldron of the hidden energies that we all have, the dark, dark energies that we all contain within our subconscious mind. And so Pisces is so sacred, because when we go into those waters and purify them, we experience cosmic divine union. We experience the ultimate oneness, the merging of our light and our dark. And so Pisces is a very sacred sign that way. But Cancer is really the intuitive, crystalline, feminine energies. And It's aligned with the archetypal energy of the divine will. And so we see right there that the correspondence is the divine mother is really our divine will, our willpower. We have let's see, on the tree of life, we have Neptune is Keter, and it is the will to will on the tree. It's the very top sphere. And so Neptune we see is aligned with the power of will too. We think of Scorpio as aligned with the power of will. Pluto, power, will, and the moon also is associated with the power of divine will. There's the higher moon, which is beyond Neptune, and then the lower moon, which in the lower energies of the moon are really more about the lower astral plane. And that's when we get into Pisces. That's in Pisces in the archetypes is also key 18, the moon. The ruler of Cancer is the moon, which is key 2, the high priestess. And so it's the high priestess that really has her domain in Cancer. So with this water energy and this subconscious energy being activated, we're really highlighting Mars is going to get in there and stir the pot in Cancer and then oppose Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, the father energy. So we have the intuitive creative energies, the womb, and then we have Saturn, which brings things into form, contracts the energy. And so Capricorn is a wonderful, wonderful archetypal energy for manifesting. It teaches us the laws of how we manifest on Earth. And it's Saturn is that contractive force. Saturn rules Capricorn. So I just want to say this because this is mother energy. We all have it within us, but we have the mother energy in Cancer, which is the moon, but then we have Saturn, which is Binah on the tree of life. And so even though Saturn has a masculine kind of context in 3D and in this in the zodiac, on the tree, Saturn is like she's the great contractive energy and very closely aligned with the Holy Spirit. So now we're going to jump around. We're working the law of correspondence today. And say, oh, yay, nice to see you're catching me live for the first time. It's always fun. This is a different time. I'll talk about that in a minute. So we're going to talk about fire of Mars and the fire of Pluto. Let's just cut to that right now for a moment. Mars entering Cancer is Mars in the archetypes is the tower. It really is like the Kundalini Shakti. If you've ever seen the Tower tarot card and the Tower archetype, it's that blast of energy. It's really close. 16, the number 16. Whenever you see a 16, you can think Mars, you can think the Tower, you can think Kundalini Shakti, and you can think also the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit works through that energy. And then we have fire in Cancer, and then we have fire, archetypal fire with Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. These two fire energies, right around the time of solstice, June 21st, and right before, are going to be opposing each other. This is really, really a supercharged moment in astrological events for the summer. This is because they're also, Mars is also going to be conjunct the North Node, and Pluto is conjunct the South Node. So we have these two fire energies. Fire is going to move things. I'm going to talk in a second about how we have the lower fire within us and the higher fire within us. Those two fires, standing off against each other, opposing each other, they're going to mate with each other, and they're going to fire up both signs. We're really, really doing alchemy in the sign Capricorn and in the sign Cancer, the father-mother sign. And this is on for a while now. This is going to be on through 2020 and even beyond. But we have that big conjunction coming in January 2020. So we've got the fire energy. So let's just slow down now, and I'll take a moment and talk about why Kundalini activation. Within us, we're going to talk about sex now. We're going to talk about carnal desires and passion and the fire, the lower fire. So the fire within, this is oftentimes associated with Pluto and Hades in the lower world, in the hell realms, because it's that fire. It's power. Pluto is power. It's the mother letter Shin. It's fire. It's judgment. It rules Scorpio. it all these energies, these underworld themes, which are closely linked to, even though on the tree Pluto is high, it's in the abyss, it governs Thoth. But in us, the human being is the inversion of the tree of life. Right now, this goes along with light body yoga. We are inverted. Our consciousness, which is very linked to the sign of Cancer and the moon, is inverted. We're not living, we're living in an upside down reality. And everything we see, it's governed by the ego consciousness. It's governed by we talked about this in the last video. We have this ego mind and this ego body personality mind. We're creating everything we see through ego perception. Now cut to Capricorn. Capricorn is key 15, the devil. That represents the bondage of that contracted energy in 3D. That is our ego. So Capricorn is very closely connected to bondage and ego consciousness. It also has a much higher frequency as well. But when we think about the patriarchy and the fallen world that everyone's always talking about, we're talking about ego consciousness. We're talking about the contraction, and that we're seeing with the vision we have right now. It's not vision, it's perception. We have a perception that changes with every thought we have. I talk about this all the time. But every time you have a shift inside, your world changes, quite literally. Quite literally, your emotional state, our emotions, which are Cancer, also the emotional body and the emotional state. So the desire force is really a combination of Mars and Venus. It's the desire force is made up of both masculine and feminine energies, our Venusian desires, and we're going to talk a lot today about the Mars desire force, which is sexuality, the carnal appetites. But we have, when we see through the ego, we're constantly activating the lower passions. Carnal, everything's carnal. I desire, I want. It's like in this consciousness, we have yin and yang, masculine and feminine. We have the masculine consciousness, not necessarily only men, but the masculine yang energy wants sexual activity constantly. It just is looking for things to dominate and merge with sexually. There's such an outward focus of desire to consume and merge with the things that we've created in the outer world. We think that those forms that we've created are real. No, so here's where we get a little deep. We think when we see a form, everything about us changes. Every time I see a new form that I'm attracted to, something I'd like to purchase, something that I love, something that I dislike, on a cellular level, everything inside me changes. Second to second to second, millisecond to millisecond. I'm changing. My world is constantly, it adjusts at light speed. This is the power of that ego body. But we have, okay, so let me just take a moment. So I know where I was going with that. Kundalini Shakti is lodged in the lower part of the human. On the tree of life, it's up higher. But in humans, because we're inverted, Capricorn represents the inversion of our true self, of our divine archetype self. So this is divine archetype astrology. We're always merging back to the sun and solar consciousness, and everything revolves around that. We're in the work that I'm doing at Art of the Feminine, I'm primarily focusing on solar consciousness, the consciousness that is at the heart of the wheel. The zodiacs, the sun falls in the sign of Leo in the zodiac, but it's really at the center of the wheel. We are here to access the center of our own wheel, which is our heart. And when we do that, all of our Kundalini Shakti energy activates there. We bring our above with our below, and we bring them together. And we take the really red, fiery, passionate Kundalini below with the white, celestial, high Kundalini energy, which is so, so, so pure. It's like the pure lunar energy. When you talk about purity of the moon and the true goddess, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about that light is so pure, that goddess energy. It corresponds to divine love. But divine love is truly activated when we merge the above and the below, the Eve and the Lilith in the heart. That's when we really, really open divine love, because then they're together in sacred union. So this is the this is the I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm going to look down in a second. This is the energy that we're talking about of merging the above and the below. So when we have that lust energy of below and we're operating from all that, oh, I know what I was going to say. So the masculine orientation is towards consuming, but the feminine orientation in this reality where it's only lower Kundalini Shakti is needy. It wants to be adored so badly that it will sell itself out to be adored by the masculine that wants to overtake it. And so when you see, and so you guys all know I watch Game of Thrones, and so we finished up last week, and so much archetypal wisdom in that. I was amazed. But what you saw a lot of in Game of Thrones was it really did a good job of showing the archetypal energies of the fallen inverted human, where the masculine just wants to dominate and take sexually from the feminine. Not all of the archetypes in that show, but that was shown to the point of just being like overwhelmed by it. Like the first couple seasons I watched, I almost couldn't do it. And then I started to read it more and more and get the value of that as art, because it was really showing the state of our inversion, and that deep inside every one of us, we have the spark of divine truth. And eventually we will all get there. So the feminine has in 3D, the yin feminine has this desire so badly to be needed and wanted and adored and consumed by the masculine that it loses touch with its power, whereas the masculine energies that some can be found in men, some in women, are lose touch with sensitivity and the heart. And so the feminine is working to gain a little bit more real power, not the artificial power that so many people. It's so funny, a lot of the women I work with now, I'm hearing this a lot, are saying like that they are have been disillusioned with um some of the how do I want to say it, the ideals that have come out of feminism, that it's created a platform in their own world where they no longer felt that they could honor their feminine energy and be a mother, be a partner, be the home. Cancer is the home, have the home. Now the home doesn't just mean the physical home, it means our container as well. So that's what in Light Body Yoga, building the inner temple of light, is about, building that home to house the spirit. And I have to tell you guys the funniest thing, there's this white spider that keeps coming back to my camera. I'm not kidding. This spider has come back 3 times. I've completely moved it away, I mean, several feet away, and it keeps coming back. And so here she is again. She came to visit me. I have a white spider on my camera, and this is the 3rd or 4th time that she's come back today. But we have to build that temple inside us. That's our chariot, and that's what we're housing, and that's a huge part of what we're working. I'm going to take. Oh, interested to see this. Masculine domination disgusts me. I survived too much sexual abuse and trauma. You know, and thank you for sharing that. It's really, really sacred, and I appreciate that. Same. It's a lot of work to heal, but don't let it consume you or screw your perception of the true sacred masculinity. And that's true. And I know both of you guys, so I think you both have that down. But this is what I want to say about that. Exactly. And we're going to talk about healing abuse, because that's a huge part of it. And I know you're on that path for sure. And so it's amazing. That's what we're doing right now. And that's what this Pluto is sex, Mars is sex. That's what the Pluto Mars opposition that's happening in June, just right up before the solstice in June 21st and right after. But the potent part is that is on at summer solstice. Summer solstice is ascension time, and that Pluto Mars opposition, and also Mercury Saturn are in there too. Mercury Mars at the north node, Pluto Saturn at the south node in Capricorn. That is about healing the sex force, healing the sexual force. So let me just take a moment with that and see if there's anything to say about what you just mentioned. This is the time of healing all that, and just to be have compassion a lot of that masculine energy is just completely cut off and in ignorance. It's just in ignorance. It's in a complete trance. And the archetype, I need to say this. Oh my God, I could go on for hours today talking about this. The archetype of Capricorn is the devil, and it represents the hypnotic trance of the false light. Means it represents that charisma and that Maya illusion that we became so desirable, that our desire for through lust believed only in that, and we lost our power. And so there are horrific things happening on our planet. We've talked a lot about all of these things, but we're going to talk about the healing of those, because that is what's happening. We're healing judgment of ourself and of other people. And I'm going to read something I wrote that came in. Just want to read this. It kind of goes with it. I was going to read it at the end, but I'm going to say it now. What we give to our brothers, we give to ourselves. Our brothers and our sisters, but I'm saying brothers right now because I think it works for Capricorn. What we give to our brothers, we give to ourselves. And I think you're a Capricorn, if I remember that. Am I right? I think you're a Capricorn, but I might be wrong. What we give to our brothers, we're giving to ourselves. Always, always. This is huge. Now, not everyone's ready for this, because it's peeling back layers of the consciousness and really going into the power. And I mean the power. When you understand that the thoughts you have towards your brothers, you're casting on yourself. And when you understand that what you give to your brothers, you give to yourself, but what you give to yourself, you also give to your brothers and your sisters. It goes both ways. Giving and receiving are the very same thing. It's as sacred to receive as it is to give, and as to give as it is to receive. It's extension, it's projection, but it's beyond projection. It goes into divine extension. When we understand that if we want to heal, the way we heal is that we realize, okay, who done me wrong? Who's the bad guy today? There's always a bad guy or a bad woman. Who is it? And if you were that person right now, what would you want? Like, what would soothe you and make you wake up? What would be best? Most of the time, it centers around some kind of higher understanding and wisdom, reason, compassion. It's not attack. You might say, well, if that was me, I'd want to, now and then we need to get it. We need to wake up and get a hard hit. But really, to keep going that route, which is lower Mars, that's also lower Mars energy, aggression, war. Mars is aggression, war. So think about it. Mars is aggression, war, power, control. So Pluto's control and all those too. And yet it's also the divine Kundalini Shakti force. And from below, it's our divine mother. The divine feminine is the Kundalini. That's what she is. She's the force within us, which is our desire force. And so the way to heal it is to give to others what you want for yourself, and give to yourself what you want to give others. It's powerful. I'm going to just jump into this too. There were some good things that came in. Silence. This is one of the secret mysteries of silence. Silence is the divine mother as well. It's one of her great powers. She works and manipulates matter through silence. So that's where we're talking about the powers of Capricorn, Bina, and Saturn. That's silence, and same in Cancer too as well. So there's a deep, if we have to learn, I'm going to be teaching this a lot. We have to know how to access our inner silence. That's the only way we make contact with the highest frequency of the mother, is through silence. So silence is ultimately the great manipulator. You think about a sage, you think about the great sages, and you think about them like sitting in meditation, and you think about how you go in and dip into your creative imagination. It's through silence. Silence is the great portal into the womb, and Cancer really represents the womb. And so it's in that silence that we're going to talk about the word, because Cancer is also connected to the word rising up. It's the power of the word, which is that Mars energy. Key 16, the tower, is the word, but it's the divine word. It's the magical force that just extends from the mother deep. And so in the archetype, the chariot is really the word. It's key seven. Seven is very connected to the word. It's connected to Venus and that suck. It's also connected to Neptune. It's the power of the real word, our real words. Our real words are conscious and sometimes they're just intuitive. They just come forth. That energy can be found in that sign, and it arises from silence. You can tell when you have a really scattered mind, and I get it. You're a little bit more like this, but there's a difference between being a fast pace when you're and being just all over the place. And sometimes we get a little more like um non-linear when we're streaming. But then there's also the times we're just checked out. Our mind is spiraling on something. We speak, but we're not really conscious. That's when our words are definitely not. That's a different frequency. So Mercury is going to be conjunct Mars at the time of this opposition, just right before the summer solstice and after. Mercury conjunct Mars is the mind anchoring into that power of Mars, opposing Pluto and Saturn and Capricorn. So Mercury's in there too. And that's our mind. And that's also our word, our everyday words. And so that's big. Here's another one that I find to be very powerful. When we carry harmony in our field, when we carry harmony in our auric field, my whole auric field, and I'm balancing those forces of the up and down, and the cross is activated and the rose is opening. The dark cannot throw us off our path. And that's why learning how to harmonize in our everyday life is the greatest protector we have. And by the dark, I just mean we live in the world of 3D forces. Everything is trying to latch on and pull us here and pull us there, and some very intentional and some very demonic. I mean, there are forces, the low forces that are literally working to just completely annihilate the heart and love. But the reason there's such an influence that comes from harmony is because harmony really is. And I have to tell you guys what's happening outside my window because you won't even believe it. If I have time, I'm going to mention it. It's amazing. So harmony, when you hold harmony in your auric field, even when you're processing, there's times we have to go to extremes, and that's an entry level when we're really processing dark night of the soul, getting all the anger out, getting the aggression out, crying the emotions out, sabotaging relationships, having it all burned to the ground. That's the tower in its demolition stages. The tower in that stage of consciousness is going to level everything flat. You're going to lose everything. You're going to go all the way to the ground and then start building up again. And that's where a lot of humanity has already been. And I know I've been there, and it's not fun, but it's such a powerful place to be, because then you're building and you're building. It's going to be different for everyone depending on what your archetypal blueprint is. That's what we talk about when I do your archetypal blueprint session. But we have something we came in with. In my aura, when I was born, I carry a code. I knew what I wanted to do. Some of it is manipulated, and some of it is all the way from the level of the monad and the soul. I'm coming in and I'm seeking out the things that are going to, and it's in our zodiac, it's in our chart, it's in our natal chart. We can see that. And then there's other ways to see even higher vantage point. And I work with some of those tools. So we get to live out whatever fantasy it was that we had when we came in, we're going to live it out. And so that being said, everyone's doing something. You can't judge another human being. Everyone is doing something different. Oh, thank you. A few of you have asked, so I will just say, go to artofthefeminine.com and there's a contact page. I have a calendar there and it should be working, but if not, and thank you for asking. But yeah, artofthefeminine.com is where you go to contact me, or on Facebook at Art of the Feminine. So we all have this blueprint, and we can't help it. We can't even see it when we're born. It's already in there from the time you're a baby. Even though we're born innocent, we already have a pattern. And so that's why when we look at it, we're like, that's why astrology is so powerful. When you look at it, you're living out your pattern. But the way in divine archetype astrology is about coming into the sun and coming into the heart and learning how to work with the forces and command them. Use the good forces, override the shadow forces, and that's where it gets really powerful. So I'm purging rage, have to isolate pain of rage. I want to talk about that. I see you, June. Oh, good. Okay, good. So, yeah, and June's kind of open. It's open right now because I haven't filled some things in, but just go ahead. So, um, okay, so purging rage. So let's just take a moment with that one because it's big for a lot of us. Purging rage is huge. First you have to feel it, the saying, you've got to feel it to heal it. But then you're gonna, and sometimes some of us have to feel it so hard that we burn everything down. And then we start saying, okay, I'm gonna go back and take a look at that and see what actually happened there. That's when we start to understand our own attack energy that we carry inside. This is a pretty sophisticated, deep level, and I don't mean to override the emotional pain and the reality of that. But right beyond the pain, feeling it, obviously having compassion, divine love, surrounding ourselves with the people who love us as we are, not the people who want to fix us, but there are certain people in our life that love us right here, right now. Those are people who are good to be around when you're going through that because they can hold space with you. But as you go beyond that, you start to, and this is where my work in the past few years has really gone. It's about understanding inwardly where you have attack energy and judgment, because judgment is the power of Shin, and my spider's back again. Um, and she's really loving this topic. So you start to understand your own judgment, because the truth is that you can only shift that rage within you in your own heart. And let me tell you, as you get to the layers of that, that is you will just open and realize you can let it all go. That's the hangman. Oh my gosh, I need to check the clock. So I'm gonna jump to summer solstice in just a minute. The hangman is complete surrender. It's Pisces. That's why Pisces is divine love, because Pisces is surrender. It's Neptune. It's surrender. So we see Pisces in surrender, key 12, but we also see Pisces in key 18, the moon, the dark moon, the underbelly. Pisces is so humble because it knows it carries the load. It carries the mother load of the deep, deep dark. It's the 12th house. It's hidden so deep, we often don't know what we're carrying and we don't know how to heal it. So at a certain point, we surrender. The hangman is Neptune. It represents the Hebrew letter. It's a mother letter, Mem. We're in the state of Mem right now, but we're in the fallen state of Mem, the lower water energies of this physical world. The higher energies of that take us into the pure waters. And that's where we get to contact within ourselves, divine love. And once we get there, I just want to say this because I know, and I really love so many of the people that show up here, and I know the healing that's happening. Um, so I always laugh when I see that. So we can do it. I just want to say, if you're in pain right now, come to this community. Be here every week when we do these live streams, because this is about healing. This is about supporting each other and getting over our hangups. Done with them. Really, really. We're not just talking fluff and divine love and like, oh, love everybody. We mean it. Like we're not joking around here. We want power. This is the power of the sign of Cancer. This is the power, the true power that creates. It's the power of Pluto, because Scorpio is key 13. It's death and regeneration. It's the power of the Divine Mother to regenerate us, the Kundalini Shakti. So I just want to say one more thing about Kundalini Shakti. Definitely catch the replay. We said a lot in this one. So oh, bless you too. Yes, yes. So many sacred souls that I've been able to meet here, and it's really powerful. The divine will. Okay, so the divine will, that's what I want to say. Cancer is the sign of the divine will. And the divine will is when you let go and you trust. Faith and trust are absolutely required for the spirit to come into us. So do whatever you need to do to get there. Just do it. Like, you get to faith and get to trust, and then play. The world becomes a playground. It's like when I'm teaching, I always tell people when I teach courses and trainings all the time because I love it, and I've been doing it for years. But you don't have to do things like that. But when we come together with people and stimulate our heart energy, when our creative imagination is on and we're working with people and loving people and we're in community, love grows there. So it's not a bad thing to find groups and to find people to really anchor in with and learn with and grow with. It's one of the greatest things we can do. Practice when you're in those groups having divine will. Practice letting go of judgment. And just, I always think of this when I became a mother, when I had my son. I had I think I talk about this in the Return of the Cosmic Mother video. I had a moment where, like, for about a week or 2, I thought everyone I saw was my own child. Like, because I merged with the cosmic mother. In giving birth that day, something happened to me. I told you I had no meds, no nothing. It was a birth that just happened. And so I got that hormone where I felt like the mother. And when you see everyone as your child, wow, it's like all of a sudden you understand everyone's journey. You understand the ignorance, you understand the mistakes. Like when your child makes a mistake, even if it's really bad, the true mother energy, you get it. You understand that you understand there's a limitation there and that you need to be the teacher, and you need to hold space sometimes and be compassionate. So we can all practice that. We can practice, just catch yourself if you find yourself attacking. That's the lower grade of Mars and Pluto. Turn it to the high, turn it to the higher, go to the higher frequency of it, which is creativity, which is speaking the truth, the real words of the divine, which are oftentimes heart activating, kundalini activating. So I just want to leave on this note. Yeah. All right. So this is what I want to say to close it up. The heart is the harmonizer. All right. So we're ending on that. We already talked about. So at solstice, Mars and Mercury will both be at 23 and 25 degrees Cancer, Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn. There's going to be a T square with Jupiter, Neptune, and Venus. Jupiter, Sagittarius, Neptune in Pisces, Venus in Gemini. That's an exact T square with Jupiter and Neptune, and then Pisces or Venus that's a really spiritual T square. Jupiter, Neptune, and Venus, divine love. Divine love. Summer solstice this year, huge. We're going to do a summer solstice activation. This is what I want to finish on. Okay. Just start to track your own Kundalini energy. Track it. This is Mars in Cancer. Follow it. Where is your desire force taking you? How can you transmute it and bring it into alignment with the purity of the higher? Now the higher is so pure. In this, we can't really embody it. When we merge the two, though, in the heart, we become the great. We become the goddess. We become the magician. We become the avatar. We become the consciousness of the Christic force, both the masculine and feminine Christic force, awakened on the planet, and it's a whole new world at that point. It's a game changer, and it's a whole new world. That being said, I'm going to close out. I want to thank you guys for being here. I'll take a peek down. Make sure to check out the Light Body Yoga link in the description. If you're interested, I would love to have you. Thank you. Yeah, go back and watch the beginning. I'm going to say it for this one because I feel like this one did download some powerful pointers. And that's it. I'll see you next week. I think next Wednesday, but see you every week. Sign up for the live streams. You can subscribe to the channel and you'll get an email or a text notification when we go live. And I'd love to have you live if you're catching this after the live stream. That being said, we'll close out for today with namaste. Many, many blessings. I will see you next for the Gemini new moon next week. Have a beautiful week.